we'll record on this one. Okay, we'd like to welcome you everybody to the Fly Fishing Utah Statewide Club to the second meeting. We have David Wood here and Steve Price, who are on the kind of the committee, I guess. There's a committee of 4, I guess, maybe. And we are just going to go over just some of the things about last, kind of do updates and a little bit about last meeting and where you can find those and kind of what we're doing there. We'll have David talk a little bit about the upcoming overnight or day camp that we have. If David, you'll kind of explain kind of what we're thinking about there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're still shooting for sometime mid to late July. We're looking at a couple different areas to host this day camp. We're thinking possibly the Fish Lake area. Another option we've discussed is around Nephi, the Huntington Creek area. We'll try and have all those details hammered out by our next meeting on June 9th, so we can share those with everybody so you can all prepare if you're able to make that or not. I know a couple of the leaders, we are probably planning on getting down there the day before and camping out that night. So whichever area we choose, we'll make sure that there's plenty of dispersed camping or campgrounds. So if you'd like to come the evening before, if you have quite a ways to travel, you're more than welcome to come camp out. And then we will set a meeting place that we will meet the day of that day camp with some various rotations of fly casting, maybe some bug identification, and possibly some even fly tying demos. But we'll have all those details hammered out and we'll get those over to you by our next meeting.
Yeah, we'll probably, depending on if Chris will join us up there, I don't know if she will or not, might be more fishing, but we'll maybe go over the water quality of that area, you know, and kind of see maybe and Steve knows the Fish Lake area quite a bit. So he knows like little bit of history as far as, you know, how it came about and different things like that. And how, you know, what is the pull toward Fish Lake, I guess, because there's a lodge and everything up there. So, and then let's see, Chris was going to I'll talk about the goose chase real quick. The goose chase is, I think I've sent it out to everybody that gets on, I'll send it out. And there is about, let's see, let me look real quick. I had this number before, but there's some kids that are doing really good on it with 9,300 points. Let's see, there's probably about 25 kids on the goose chase right now. And I think every month, next month, at our meeting, I'll pull the top 3 and go ahead and send them out some fly fishing stuff. You know, they might be a box of a dozen flies. It might be a leaders or anything like that. Just some fun things to get things going. So if you are listening to this right now, get on that goose chase. And if you don't have that, just contact blake.clark@usu.edu. I'll give you the code number. And then just start doing all the missions, and it's a lot of fun. I think a lot of kids have got it going pretty good. So that's the goose chase. Let's see anything about. So prizes come out, and then the major prizes at the very end of the goose chase are a rod and reel kit, maybe a fly tying kit, maybe a chest pack for fishing. So really, and that ends September 10th, which is our contest in Logan. So if you come to the contest, and if you're the highest goose chase person, we'll have those prizes for you. So that's really cool. Okay, so and then Steve, we'll have you talk about our next meeting date. Well, it doesn't really matter the date, but what it's going to be about. So we'll go with Steve for now.
You bet. So our next meeting is really kind of pulling together. We're starting to add a little bit of the biology and to fly fishing, learning about what's going on under the water. So we're going to be talking some fish ID, some entomology ID, you know, kind of more about water and the ecosystem that as a fly fisherman, we have to know about in order to catch fish.
Yeah, and so that's kind of about the education part of it too. I mean, you can go fishing, but it's fun to know what you're doing and kind of to try to out trick the fish. It's super hard because you could fish a run and do really good, same temperature, everything, come the next day, exact same time, exact same fly, and get, you know, hardly get anything. So it's I don't know, they just, it's super, it's fun because of that. You know, it's always change. If you went to the same place and caught 40 fish every day, it would be fun, but it start to get a little boring, I guess. But no, it'd
And
be,
I can provide some images for fish identification for that meeting as well.
oh, perfect.
Yeah, I'll try and pull together some images just for some basic ID traits for identifying some of the trout you'll come across while
Perfect.
fishing in Utah.
Yeah, that'll be fun. You know, when I got started fly fishing, it wasn't about that, but as you get into it and you want to learn more about it and get smarter for fishing, then you have to learn that type of stuff. So you're like, okay, I need to know this size, you know, a flow and different times they hatch and stuff like that, and what to look for. So it's kind of fun. It's all part of it. So that's just like, it's just like everything in fly fishing. You can type flies, you can make fly rods, you can learn about bugs, you can, you know, do all sorts of stuff. So it's a lot of fun that way. And so last meeting, I'll just talk about last meeting that we have. It's online. It's, if you go to YouTube and type Clark Setters, Clark Shooters, my boy, Clark Setters, and then look for my face with the cowboy hat and click on that, and then it'll say the first Zoom meeting for the statewide 4-H club, and I think it has a hashtag Clark on it. And so watch, if you look at that one is on flies and fly tying, and it has all the links to the flies that we need to tie for the contest. And I send that out every time I send an email out to the kids, so they kind of get that going. And then this week is about casting. And at the contest at the very end, we're going to have a casting competition of distance and accuracy. And Dave, you said you might have tell about that. Was it Nick, or is that the guy's name, or Nate?
Yeah. So we're going to try and have some folks up from Western Rivers Fly Fishing. They're going to have a booth up there. They'll probably be advertising some of their classes and programs that they do. But we're also going to try and get Nick Tenner up there, who's one of the guides for Western Rivers, and he's been the distance casting champion west of the Mississippi for the last 5 or 6 years, I think. So if we can get him up there to do a little bit of a distance demo before the competition, I think that'd be great for everybody.
Do you know how far they cast on that competition? Is it like 125, 26?
It's somewhere around there. I don't know the exact number, but I've seen a couple of videos of him doing it, and it's quite impressive.
Yeah. When I was when I sold boats for high drift boats for several years, we'd have that show, and our booth was right by the casting booth or the pond every time. So we'd get a lot of practice. I'd get about 110, but they would go out to 120, 25. I think then, you know, that was a while ago. They was out to 120. It might be a lot longer now, but maybe not too long. They use a 5-weight rod, I believe, because if you used a 7 or 9, you could shoot it clear across the. I don't think they have pond inside long enough.
Yeah,
So.
and you could even do a little intro to double hauling as well, because I'm sure most of the guys are double hauling in those competitions. So.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that helps even just on a little cast. You know, if you do a tiny little double haul, it just speeds up that line real fast, and you can get in a little tighter loop, which will help in the contest coming up. So on the casting part of it, it's kind of hard. I could go out, and I'm sure Dave and Steve, we could go out and make videos of casting. You know, here's how you cast, here's how you do this, here's how you do this. There's a site. I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see if I can hit the right button. And let me know if you guys can see that new screen. So that's it's that's trying to figure out how to. It's called howtofish.orbis. Let's see. Let me go down. So it's howtofish.orbis.com, and it has super. They have done on this video lessons right here. You can go into fly casting, and I'll just go to there, and it has all these videos. I think there's probably 10, 12 of those, and it has real basic information on casting, but it's really good. You know, I think all of us on the screen here, Dave and Steve, have been fishing for a long time, and a lot of this, if they were to look at that, you just kind of nod your head and go, yep, that's right. So they've spent a lot of money, production, everything on teaching people how to cast. There's overhead. They explain it really good. I watched all of these. So if you as far as the casting part of it, if you go through, and I will have on each one of these, I'm going to try to do some goose chase questions. And so it's like on one, some of them are only 52 seconds, some of them are minutes, some of them are a little bit longer, but you could probably watch them all probably in 14, 15 minutes or something like that. But it would teach you everything you need to know. You wouldn't be a perfect caster after that, but you have to, for every one of these, probably go cast 20 hours or something, or, go practice quite a bit. And so, but that's a super good way to learn. And then the real learning is getting out and just in the back lawn, getting your fly rod and just starting casting. Just start watching the loops. Just kind of do what they say, take one thing at a time. And then let's see, I think let's do this. And then I've as far as the casting goes, then I've got this, and you guys can see that, right? This is at the park in Logan where we're going to have our casting competition, and I'll let this play. I think it's just 3 minutes or so, but it kind of explains a little bit. We'll go ahead and let it watch it.
This is Blake Clark. Just going to talk a little bit about the
Can you guys hear that? Okay. That when I get it. Okay.
fly fishing contest that's coming up for the 4-H statewide contest. I think it's on September 10th. One of the events that we will have is accuracy casting on the river. And as you can see right there, there is a yellow hula hoop that will be placed different places in the water.
I'm going to stop that right now. That yellow hula hoop right there, it's in the weeds because I didn't have anything to stake it down, and I didn't have my waders to go out and stake it in the middle. So you probably wouldn't cast right in the weeds right there. So that's just a disclaimer. I'll let it go again.
The contestant or the participant or the youth that is doing the contest will go ahead and start at a specified stake on the river or in the river, and they will cast so many times to that hula hoop with a small fly without a hook on it. So probably like an elk hair caddis or something with the hook bent off. And they will cast, they will have like 5 or 10 cast tries, and to see if they can get it into that hoop. They will have different areas. I'll show you some different areas. I think there'll be about 10 different stations where you'll cast to one, go ahead and score, and then move up to the next one, and then so forth and so on, all the way up the river. There'll be a couple that you cast underneath trees. You might have to do it like a side cast, and also there's a bridge down here you'll have to cast underneath to go about a foot inside the tunnel or the bridge. And so that's just a little bit of the fly casting competition. We'll do a fly distance contest and then a fly accuracy contest. So that's just one thing. And so we'll show you that and go from there. Here is some of the river that we'll be casting at.
I stop it there. Not necessarily a river, maybe just a ditch, but it's pretty easy. You're not going to get hung up in the weeds too bad. It'll allow for good casting and stuff. But we'll make it so it's a little bit difficult, but not too difficult that they can't do it. So we'll continue on. Just to show you a little bit, there's no fishing here, at least I don't think so, but it'll just be a casting competition. We'll have stakes different places, and we'll have say a tree behind you, so you have to do a roll cast type thing. So there'll be just different places where the hoop will be. Here's the hoop. It'll just be staked out, and then you'll just have to cast into that. So simulating river casting and just showing what accuracy you have. They won't be very far. The accuracy will be a little bit closer, not for distance. Here will be one. The hoop will actually be put in the tunnel, just barely under the tunnel, and then we'll cast back a little bit, and we'll have to get a tight loop, and we'll have to cast into that bridge, into the hoop, just right inside under the bridge. Just to pop in here, sometimes where I fished locally here or in small streams, sometimes you do have the best hole underneath a bunch of trees. because that's where the cover is for the fish. And they find it and nobody fishes it, so they're always there. So you have to be able to kind of maybe do a side cast or a tight loop to get under that. So instead of hooking up in the trees, kind of simulating where the where that bridge is right there, that, you know, just think of that as branches. And then if you can get just barely underneath there, man, you're going to catch some nice fish. And I've done that. I mean, both of you guys have done that too, where the biggest fish you've caught is in the hardest spot that you can get to.
And so that's kind of a fun little type of cast that you can do. This will be one of the sections where we cast. You see there's a tree right here, a right-handed person. We'll probably stand about right here, and I'll stand right up there. You can see the yellow hula hoop up there. And so you'll stand right here, and then have 10. You'll have to do a little side cast to make sure you can get into that, so it's not an overhand, straight overhead cast. It makes it a little bit easier to get the target, so you have to do a little side cast. That's just one of the areas where you'll cast. There'll be probably 8 to 10 areas to cast, so it'll be kind of fun to be able to cast in all those different areas.
Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll stop sharing. All right, we can see. So that, and then a lot of that will be, you'll be on the right side and the left side. So if you're left-handed, right-handed, you'll have to do across the body cast probably to get, you know, because you won't, there'll be maybe a tree, you know, right behind you. So you can't really do a right-hand cast if you're on the right-hand side of the river. And so just some different things, because I like the big rivers to fish, the Madison in the park, the big rivers, but the funnest part is the smallest streams. And you guys probably agree, just because every turn, every rounding of the corner, there's 20 different holes, you know, and every little rock there's fish behind. So that's what kind of makes it fun. And then as far as safety and stuff, a lot of these streams are only about knee deep that you fish. And so you're not in the big water, you know, and so you're not working. I mean, if you fall over, you cool off and get back up and keep fishing, you know, probably empty your fly box and get all the water out so they don't rust, all that stuff. But just stuff like that. It's just kind of, and it'll be kind of fun. So it'll be real world scenarios where we cast to, and we'll set up a scoring thing. So if you have, say, well, it might just be 10 casts into that hoop, and then you might, you know, say you got six hits or something like that. So it depends. We might mix it up a little bit. Might have a first cast bonus or something like that. So if you get the very first cast in, you might get double points or something, just because it's a little bit tougher because you don't know the distance. And so usually when you cast the first time, you know, if you're a foot shark, you just let out a little bit more and cast again and let that line out, and you do a little bit more. So that's kind of some way, not necessarily cheating for this, but that's how you do that. But once you kind of get the distance, but then it's still, you got to get the accuracy. If there's a little bit of wind, you got to kind of go for wind a little bit. And then we'll do some downstream ones where you're standing upstream and have to cast down and do a steeple cast where you kind of cast and then pull it back and let it set down and then let it drift away from you. And so it'll be kind of fun. They'll be all explained on we might just have little plaques there. We might have the person there with the information, say, okay, we got to do this at this peg. We're going to do this, and this is how you score. So anything on that, guys, Steve or David? I think it'd be pretty fun for the kids.
Yeah, that all looks great. I think that's perfect for some accuracy casting.
Yeah, it'll be just something that it's fun, and the kids will be just kind of, you know, leapfrogging around and just going right through, and there might be 10 of them. So we'll probably start 10 at a time, you know, 10 on each one, and then cast, and then everybody just rotate just until they get them all done. And so
Blake, obviously, casting's it's a developed skill. It's something you got to work on. So do you have some tips for us on kind of how we can practice that at home? Or
yeah, I would first off, if you're new to fishing, fly fishing, I would just get out almost every day you could, and just in your backyard, put about 20 feet of line out, not a ton, because really fly fishing, you don't have to cast too far to catch fish. I mean, there are instances you can. I gotta plug my computer in or I might die. Okay. Yeah, it's, you could, probably 30 feet would probably be your max. You can catch it as many fish as you want, if you're quiet, if you jump in the water and stuff like that, you're gonna scare, but I would just go back. And the main thing, on those videos, I have a video on there, and I'll put the link on the 2 links. So the 2 links on the bottom of this video will be the Orvis one and then my other one that's already up. And it talks about, just going in the backyard, standing sideways and looking back at your back cast and looking both sides. At the very first, do that, because you need to, after a lot of practice, you can go like that and feel behind you without looking behind you. Your rod will bend a little bit and you'll go forward, and you won't have to do that. But until that point, you want to look at that. And I would just sit there and just go like this with maybe 10 feet of line out and just go back and forth, watching your loops, make sure they're going the same, and then let a little bit more out, control it. But I would just do that until you can get consistency in your back loop and your front loop. And then after, maybe a week or 2 of that constantly, then put a marker out. You could just put like a stake out or a tire or something, or even a hula hoop. I think everybody's find a hula hoop at the dollar store for 30 cents or whatever, and just put it out there and just see how you can get that in there. One key as far as accuracy on that type, we're going to probably kind of pretend it's hopper season because hopper season, you can really mash that hopper down. It's not going to spook them. It's actually going to attract fish. But on and to get your accuracy, sometimes you have to do a little bit tighter loop to get that. So in most cases, when you're fly fishing, your dry flies, you'll cast, let it all hang out, and then let it drop quietly down on the water instead of really whacking it. But on this, just kind of a tip for accuracy casting, you kind of really punch it in there because you want it to go down quickly right where you want it. That's you use that a lot of times, but that would just be for that. But yeah, I just say just cast a lot just so you get the feel of it, and just short distances, just a lot.
Yeah.
Anything, Dave?
I was just gonna say, I know a lot of sportsman shops and fly shops also have practice casters available. They're pretty affordable. They run anywhere from $20 to $30. It's just a shorter fly rod, and it has this kind of synthetic yarn that really mimics the weight of a fly line.
Yep.
I know I have one of those myself, and it's a way you can kind of mess around even inside your house without breaking or damaging anything. Or if you just have a smaller area in your yard where you can't necessarily lay out a full cast, those are great for just getting a feel of that weight of the line. And to piggyback on what you were saying, whenever I've had beginner clients, I've always had them watch their back cast. It's just a great way to see your line layout and make sure it's equal on your back cast and your forward cast, because your back cast is equally as important as your forward cast, if not more so. So I think that's a great pointer, is keeping an eye on that back cast until you really get the feel of the weight of the line.
Yeah. One other trick too, a lot of beginners, when they have a rod, they'll use a lot of wrist. Actually, I call it windshield wiper, and they'll go, the tip will go to the ground, and I don't have, usually I have long sleeve shirt on. I'll put a long sleeve shirt on, put the butt of the rod right in the sleeve. So you can't hardly, you can move it a little bit, but it shows you use the loading of the rod to shoot the line. And so if it's in here, you're not going to break your wrist, or not break your wrist, but like windshield wiper. And so it's more of an arm thing, a straight thing, and a little bit smoother a rod. And I'll show you, let me show you on this. I'll share my screen one more time. And let's see. Give me a thumbs up if you can see that, guys, right there. So I've typed my name in under YouTube, just Blake Clark, but then it goes to, there's a comedian called Blake Clark. So I don't know. he has all the high ones. So that's, they say I'm funny, but I'm not that funny. But if you type Clark Shooter, no, Clark Setters, I always say Clark Shooter, Clark Setters. So ClarkSetters. And then if you go down and find my picture right there, and then if you click on that, you get all of these videos. And then this is the first video. So that right here, the one on the very left-hand top, it's pictured, there's a painting I did. It's a red canoe with a guy fishing. And so it's the 4-H state of Utah Fly Fishing Club first video. The one we're doing now is the second video. And if you look over here, under this right here, you guys can see that one right there. So that one is the Utah 4-H fly fishing casting class. When I watch it, some of the videos are a little bit slow, but it has the same, it gives good instruction, but it'll show you. We did this last year in a club, and it goes over a lot of the casting, but the Orbis one with that one is super good. You know, the Orbis one is really good. This one is done okay, and it gives you a lot of good tips and stuff. And then I think, let's see. So that other one will be, the other video that we're doing now will be loaded up in a day or two, just right next to this one, I think, or maybe next to it. I'm not sure where they always put it, but let me stop that from there. So those, let's see, any other, and it doesn't matter what rod you have. Just make sure you have a floating line. You don't want to cast or practice with a sinking line because it's too heavy. If you get good at that, you'll be really good with the floating line. And then just use and don't cast without a leader on, because if you cast with just the line and then just the D loop or whatever, it's going to be weird because it's not going to flow. And so put a leader on there, and you can put a little piece of yarn on it. Or you can put a fly and then just clip the hook off so you don't practice getting it out of your ear. That might be good practice. But yeah, just use that. Just use a fly or just a piece of small yarn. You don't want a big piece of yarn. It'll drag too much, but just a small piece of yarn. And then just practice every chance you get. You know, I was out there a half hour every day for when I started, you know, just casting. On the grass, it's a little bit different because you don't get any load when you pull back. If you can go to a lake or a canal or something, just make sure you're safe. If you cast out, when you pull back, it kind of pulls that line and loads your rod a lot better for that back cast. And so on the grass and stuff, there's no load. You have to kind of make your own load type thing and then just cast back and forth. So any other, let's see, I think that's, as far as casting goes. Distance is a little bit, if you're skilled a little bit and have been casting a little bit and know how to double haul a little bit, you just try to get, you know, just that double haul down and just to get a little bit more length. And so you probably won't, I'm pretty sure none of us will cast as far as, is it Nick or Nate? I don't think anybody will cast that far, but that's in some cases, you know, in saltwater fishing for tarpon, permit, or bonefish, if you can cast longer, that's better. But around for trout fishing, you know, you can do pretty good with just kind of your middle casting, you know, so it's not middle, not your super long ones. And then when you get your long ones, you don't have a lot of time to set the hook, or, you know, there's too much drag and stuff. So that counts into a lot of it. So, but anything else you guys can think of as far as this video? I think we've covered everything. There'll be information in below in the links, but just on casting. And so far we did fly tying, casting. Our next one is insect identification, education, identification, and then that's our third one. So we have our flies, casting, and bug in aquatic insects, and the third one is the fishing day camp, right? And so we'll put all those together. We'll see if we can't do that, and then let's see, that's July. June, did we have what do we have in? Oh, June is the June. Oh, yeah.
June's the bug and fish identification one, and then we have the day camp, and then I think we had one last meeting in August prior to the competition, right?
Yeah, and I think that one is going to be about, we're going to probably go back to the Logan place where I showed you, and we'll probably set up different things. We'll do the flies, and we'll kind of just go through that a little bit, just as a to know what to do when you come to the contest in September.
Great.
So I think that'll be good. So, but I think that's anything else, Steve or Dave, that you wanted to mention in this? I think we covered pretty good.
I think we got it all covered.
Okay. I think we did good there, and then this will be ready to go, and this you can watch this anytime that you want or rewatch it, depending. One time you probably get the gist of it, but rewatch the videos for sure on how to fly, how to fish.orbis.com, and they're really good. The guy's really good. He's got some good jokes and different things. So
awesome.
Oh,
yeah, and I would just say, I think I said this in the last meeting, but be patient with all of this, with the fly tying, with the casting. fly fishing is not something you're going to master in 1 or 2 years. You can always build. I've been fishing since I was a young kid, and I'm always learning new tricks, and I'm always building new skill sets. So be patient and have fun with it, and it'll come as it comes.
Yeah, perfect. All right, that's a good note to end on. So, all right, thanks, Dave and Steve. We'll see you on the next video. Okay.